afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you had a good weekend. Today's Martin Luther King Day, so I appreciate, even though the market's closed, that you're on the call. I greatly appreciate that. ECA is closed all day today, and we'll close at noon. Just want to kind of walk through some of the things that are happening in the market. This little known but spot-on economic indicator says recession and lower stock prices are all but certain. The divergence between two consumer sentiment measures is a strong indicator. So this is actually just a little bit ago. An obscure and arcane economic indicator suggests Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell was wrong when he said in November 3rd news conferences there is a path to a soft landing. So how many of you guys believe there's a soft landing? How many times have we had a soft landing with a recession? How many times has there been a soft landing with a recession? Yeah, that's right, Bert, never. This indicator traces it to the larger divergence between consumers' views about the economy in general and their immediate personal financial circumstances in particular. A recession has occurred each time over the past 4 decades in which this divergence even approached its current level. So does that sound good or bad? To measure this divergence, the indicator focused on the Conference Board Consumer Confidence Index and the University of Minnesota's Consumer Sentiment Survey. While there is some overlap between these two indices, what these two indices measure, there's a significant difference in the emphasis. James Stack, who knows who James Stack is of InvestTech? Anybody who follows newsletters, James Stack has been at the top of the newsletter performance for, I think, 40 years. So James Stack and InvestTech, from whom I first heard this indicator, the CCI more heavily reflects consumers' attitudes towards the overall economy, according to Stack, while the UMI is more heavily weighted towards their immediate personal circumstances. Perhaps not surprisingly, the CCI currently is higher than the UMI. Even as American consumers' attitudes towards the immediate financial situation continue to soar, guys, what this is saying is what? Their attitude and reality is what? Their attitude and reality is what? Same thing or different things? And we set records for Christmas this year. How were those presents? How was that travel? How was that vacations? How was that paid for? How was that paid for at Christmas? We set records. People are buying crap like anything. Credit cards. Where is debt right now? Where is debt right now? Consumer debt, extremely high. That's right, extremely high. Perhaps not surprising to see it currently higher than UMI, even as consumers' attitudes towards their immediate financial situation continue to soar, due to everything from higher inflation to higher mortgage rates to the softening housing market. The overall economy has proven to be remarkably resilient. Guys, here's the thing. When people were using credit cards in the early 2000s, using debt in the early 2000s, were you using credit card or were they using home equity? Yeah, home equity. And what's happening right now to home equity? Are people able to use home equity like they did in the early 90s right now with interest rates where they are? Yeah. So in which, what is more surprising is the magnitude of current divergence. According to the latest data released from Conference Board and University of Michigan, the CCI is 43.4 percentage points higher than the UMI. That's close to a record. The latest reading stands at 98th percentile of all monthly readings in the past 4 decades. And look at where they've been high. So what was happening here? What happened right here when it was high in the 80s? What happened here? What happened in 1987? What happened in 2000? What happened in 07 and 08? What happened in 2019? So where are we right now? Is this again, people right now what are we being told by mainline media about the stock market? Now is the time to what? Be cautious or to buy? Mainline media, what's it telling us? Now is the time to be cautious or to buy? Yeah, buy. We have not. Does anybody here believe we have wrung out the bear in this bear market? So I mean, we've hit the bottom. People don't want to buy stocks. They want nothing to do with stocks. They've got the 401k completely moved to guaranteed. That's what happens. That's what happens before the market turns around. During this correction last year, how many of your clients said, we want to move all of our money to guaranteed? How many of your clients said that? Most of them or none of them? Now, it's our job to make sure they don't do that. But a true bear market, the bottom of a bear market is when everybody wants to do that. It's our job as advisors to make sure they don't do that. But how many of your clients are saying, let's move all to guaranteed, let's move all to guaranteed? A lot or little? Yeah, none of them. So that means what? We're at the bottom or not? And there's so many, remember, we've got a whole dashboard of indicators. Guess where those indicators are? That we're in a good territory for the market to go forward, or we're in bad territory? Bad. So today we want to talk about the one-legger. How do we deal with it when somebody comes in without their spouse? How do we want to deal with it when somebody comes in without their spouse? Do you want to move forward? What happens when you move forward with a one-legger? How often do you close the deal? How can you close the deal when somebody comes in with nothing? Because they always say at the end, what? No, I make all the decisions. I make all the decisions. I make all the decisions. And then in the end, what happens? I have to ask my wife, right, Mark? I'm a big shot until what? I have to pull the trigger. Then I'm not a big shot anymore. See, so what do we do when they come in? Do we say, hey, make like a tree and leave, get out of here? No, we don't do that, because then they will leave. There are ways to get one-leggers to bring their spouses in. But who has to tell them they need to bring their spouse in? Who has to tell them they have to bring their spouse in? They do. That's right, they do. So it is a little bit complicated, but we have to make it to do this. The script is a little bit complicated to do this, but we have to make a decision. Do we want to just write them off because they're a one-legger, or do we want to save them by getting the spouse in? So if you think, I don't want to, especially if you run into this often enough, you think, I don't want to lose those people. I can't afford to lose those one-leggers that come in. I need to get them. Well, then is it worth taking on a little bit of a complicated script? Because, to get them to tell you, not you tell them, but them tell you to bring in, they need to bring in their wife, you think that's very easy. Because if you just tell them, hey, you need to bring in your wife, that meeting is what? If you tell them they need to bring in their wife, that meeting is what? Going forward or done? It's done. So it's a little bit complicated, but I had basically, I would say 60-40. 60% of the one-leggers that came in did come back with their spouses with this one-legger. The other 40% did not. But would you rather have 60 or a 0? 60% or 0%? I'd rather have 60% of them come back with their spouse. And some of them became my best clients because why was the wife not there? She hates finances. She thinks that the people who talk about their investments make her look stupid and make her feel stupid. And do we do that with our script? No, we make her feel what? Involved and smart. With ours, she becomes involved and smart. So she loves our system and gets her, because remember, our system, the first 7 things, the first 40 minutes, gets the wife on our side. Gets the wife on our side. So what is this formula? First thing is we're going to gather data just like we always do, because when they don't bring in their wife, do we immediately jump on the script? No. I need to find out if what? What do I need to find out before I go through the pain and suffering of doing this formula? What am I looking for when I'm gathering the data? Yeah, is it worth it, Bert? Do they have enough money? Do they have enough money for me to want to go forward? So then once we gather data, we find out, oh, they do have enough money. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on their side about couples dividing labor. So I'm going to say, oh, I see that Mary isn't here today. I totally get that, because if you think about it, that's the way it is in my wife. Do both my wife and I, when we're washing dishes, we both have both of our hands in the washing tub, and then both of us are fighting over drying the dishes, or does one wash and one dry? Which way? Both of us wash the dishes, both of us dry the dishes, or one washes, one dries. When I'm mowing the lawn, what we do is I have the left side of the handlebar, and my wife has the right side of the handlebar, and we scoot across the lawn together with the lawnmower. Is that the way we do it, or do I mow the lawn and maybe she does clips the bushes or weeds? I mean, do we ever? Most couples, do we both do the same thing, or do we divide our labor? And what does everybody say when I do that? Yeah, they all say we divide labor. Exactly. Yeah, we divide the labor. So, I guess the reason you're here and your wife's not here is you're the financial quarterback. Is that right? You handle the investments. Is that right? And what do they always say there? With their chest puffed out, what do they always say? Yes, I am. Yeah, that's the way it is in my house too. I take care of the investments. Now, she takes care of the checkbook. I don't know where my money's going because she takes care of the checkbook, but she doesn't know where the investments are. Because we even with we divide labor. So is that kind of how it is at your house? And they all say what? Yes. And I say, so now, obviously, when it comes to finances, my wife is not going to write a $5,000 check without checking with me, and I'm not going to write a $5,000 check without asking her. If I did that, guess what's going to happen to the marital harmony? What's going to happen to the marital harmony? And they say, yeah, well, that's not going to be very good. Yeah, so we have a dollar amount. For us, it's $500. I can spend $500 without getting her permission. I still tell her about it, and she can spend $500 without getting my permission or feedback. And she's still going to tell me about it. But is that kind of how it is in your house, where there is a dollar amount where you kind of have to check with the other person just to make sure everybody's on board? Is that how it works at your house? And what does everybody say to that? What's everybody say to that? Nope, I can do whatever I want. I could go buy a Corvette and come home, and my wife would not have a problem. How many people say that? Or do they all get on board? How about you guys? Answer yes or no in your household. Can you go buy whatever you want, no matter how expensive it is, without checking your wife? Everybody answer that. I've got 2 no's. Come on, everybody answer that. Yeah, nobody can do that. Yeah, divorce is right. So now, do you see what I'm doing? Can you start to, in your mind, see what I'm doing here? Where am I going with this? Where am I going with this? You know what? Are we talking about a little money here? Or a lot? I'm out of role play now. But are we talking about a little money here, or all there's 40 years of life savings here? A lot. So really, he's going to make a decision without checking with her? Ain't no way. Do you see how I'm setting it up here? You see how I'm setting it up? So then I go forward and say, I don't know if you know this, but even with doctors now, they want our spouse there. If we have a significant or an important decision to make medically, they want the spouse there. Why do they want the spouse there? Why do they want the spouse there? Well, think about this. Well, if something happens to me, and I had to knock on wood, nothing does, but something happens to me, and there's a significant decision to be made, surgery, or I may be incapacitated for a long period of time, etc. Do you think my wife's going to have the same questions for the doctor that I will? Or will she have different questions? The same or different? So we're sitting there in office before the surgery, and we're asking questions. Is she worried about the same things I'm worried about? I'm worried about dying. I'm worried about pain. And to be honest with you, is she really worried about my pain? No. What is she worried about? How long is this guy going to be incapacitated? How long before he can go back to work? How long am I going to have to feed him, clothe him, bathe him? Are we thinking and worried about the same things? Does she have the same questions? Because do we have the same responsibilities in this? My responsibility is a good patient. Her responsibility is to be what? A good caretaker. So will we have the same questions? So, and also think about this. Is it possible to hear different things? A lot of doctors now want the patients to record their meetings, because in that meeting, I'm thinking, oh my God, I could die. I'm going to be in pain. I'm worried about dying on the table. I'm worried about dying afterwards. I mean, this is crazy. I don't. So if that's what's going through my mind, am I being a good listener at that point? If that's what I'm going through my mind? No. because I've got a whole different conversation going on. I'm not really listening to the doctor. And then my wife is thinking, oh my gosh, I could lose my husband. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to take care of my husband. Oh my God, we could be in a financial situation. So is she really listening to the doctor? So is it possible for us to hear different things? And what do they say to that? What's the client say when I ask them that? Oh no, we always hear the same things. What are they going to answer that? Is it possible? Yay or nay? They'll say what? Oh yeah, that's very possible. I mean, even at a cocktail party. Have you ever been at a cocktail party? This happened to me where my wife and I are talking to somebody, and we're having a conversation. She's standing right next to me. We're both having the same conversation with this guy, and on the way home, I'll say, do you believe what George said? And she goes, he didn't say that. I said, yes, he did say that. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. No, he didn't. Has that ever happened to you in your life where you've been standing next to somebody, and then when the person leaves, you both heard different things? Has that ever happened? Yeah, so we all hear different things. So it's important to have when it comes to health, like at the doctor's office, is it important to get one person there or both people there? One person or both people? What do they all say? What do they all say? Both, yeah. So when it comes to health, it's important. When it comes to money, it's more important. For example, if I'm in the my wife and I are in the looking for houses, and I'm driving home from work one day, and I see an unbelievable house, and I pull over, and I say, oh, my God, this is a great house, and the realtor says, well, if you like it, you better buy it because there's other people looking at it, and I say, okay, I'm buying it, and then I hop in the car, I buy it, and then I lay out 10 grand for it, and then I run home and say, honey, I just bought a house. That's a house today. What's going to happen? Good things or bad things? Good things or bad things? Yeah, bad things. So when it comes to health, we want both people there. When it comes to money, we want people there. When it comes to family decisions, do we want one person to make the decision or both people to make the decision? One or both? Both. So, I have to apologize. Now listen to my voice. So I apologize. I mean, this is totally my fault, and I really do apologize. Apparently I didn't make this as clear as I should have, and that's on me. That is on me. I should have made this clear. I apologize. You came in here, you're looking for help, and I didn't make it clear that, hey, when it comes to health, family, and money, we need one person here or both people here? Well, both. So who else needs to be? Because are we talking about a small amount of money or a big amount of money? Are we talking about, in fact, your assets, are they worth more or less than a house? More or less than your house. And what are they going to say? More. So if we don't do that with a house, how should we be getting everybody's input with your assets? Or just let's wing it? No, we need both. So in order for us to move forward, who else needs to be here? See, I'm going to make them explain to me why. Well, my wife. And why does it make sense for her to be here? If you made any change with this and you were run over by a bus, would she have any clue what was happening? No. Would that be a good thing or a bad thing? That'd be a bad thing. Why would it be a bad thing? Well, because she might make bad decisions, blah, blah, blah. See, I'm making him explain to me why she needs to be there. And again, I'm saying husband, wife, because it does happen occasionally that the wife takes care of the investments, and then she is I just do this in reverse. Who most times it's the guy, sometimes it's the gal, but either way, it's the same script because I'm saying the person who's in charge always needs to run things by the other person for lots of reasons. I'm sorry, I say that? No, I get them to tell me that. Does that make sense? Even then, it only works 60% of the time, but 60% is better than zero. So so is this simple or is it a little bit more complicated? It's a little bit more complicated, but if you want to get them to explain to you why they need to bring in the spouse, you have to do it this way. Because if you just tell them to bring in their spouse, what's going to happen? Can't move forward till you bring in your spouse, what's going to happen? Nothing. Does that make sense? So is this helpful? I mean, this kind of thing, is this helpful to know how to deal with things that occasionally happen that in our businesses that we have trouble getting by them? Okay, good. So today we're continuing on our journey of the 21-point checklist. We're going to listen to titling today. So we're going to find out that, first of all, we're going to agree with them that the joint with rights to survivorship are good. Now, how do I know that their accounts are titled joint with rights to survivorship? Because it's right on their account. Why do I know it's not listed with their kids? Well, if the kids aren't on the account, I know it's not. If it's not TOD or POD, I know their kids aren't on the account. So you're going to hear me go through all of these things. See, this is the first time, because up to this point, it's all been non-financial, and it's been, what kind of advisor would I be? I'd be a bad one. Now, we spent 40 minutes doing the non-financial, having them tell me I would be a bad advisor if I didn't do these things, having them connect the dots that their advisor's a bad advisor for not doing these things. But up to this point, up to titling, have I mentioned their guy yet? No. Titling is the first time I mentioned their guy. Why? Because at this point, they should have already started to wonder, gosh, my guy's not doing these things. He's the bad advisor, not Mike. See, so guess how easy it is now when I do titling for them to jump to the conclusion their guy is not a good guy. Much easier. Make sense? So let's go back here. Oops, I got to go back one screen. And then I'm going to go to our beneficiaries, titling. Here we go. So now we get into some of your investments, okay? Okay. So the first thing is titling. Now, when we looked at the titling of your investments, you know, some of your accounts are titled, oops, got it backwards here, joint with rights to survivorship. So joint means that you and your wife own it jointly. So when you go to the bank, do you both have to be there to talk to the banker? No. Do you both have to sign the checks? No. So joint means what? Either one of us can do it. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want to do. Now, with rights of survivorship gives us a clue to what that means. It means if we die, how are they going to deal with the what? Well, what are they going to do with what's the spouse? The spouse or the survivors, right? So it says is with rights of survivorship. So it gives the right to the survivor. So if something happened to you, could Rochelle still deal with this account? Oh, yeah. Something else, Rochelle, could you still deal with this account? So is that a good thing to do? Oh, yeah. It's a perfect thing. See, am I telling them what they did was good or bad? Based on the information they have, was that good or bad? Good. Based on the information they have, good. And then the rest of the script is for them to discover, tell them, because if I just start going in and saying, what you did is bad, what you did is bad, what you did is bad, what's their knee-jerk reaction going to be? Defend. I don't want them to do that. It's going to say, based on the information you have, based on what your advisor told you, this was a good decision. He just left out a lot of other information, and that's when they discover for themselves that it's bad. So now that we start off, hey, it's good. What you decided was good, but then once they find out more information, they say, wait a minute, it's not good, it's bad. But they have to make that discovery, not us. To do. That's awesome. That's the way a lot of people do it. And I noticed the kids' names aren't on here, which is good because my kids' names aren't on either because God bless them, but can there be divorces? Can there be bankruptcies? Can there be lawsuits? Oh, yeah, all that. And if that happened to them, whose accounts would be dragged into it? These accounts. These accounts. And we don't want, so good job. I don't have mine on, kids on there. You don't have your kids, so good job on that. So, but we do want to know, I mean, that it goes to the kids if both of something had God forbid it happened to us, right? Right. So how does the banker brokerage know who to give it to if something happened to both of you? Well, it's in our will. So, it's in your will, right? Yeah. Duh. And so the will goes through that probate process. Have you heard of probate? Yep, you've heard of it. Yeah. So how long does probate take here in Minnesota? I'm not sure. I'm guessing probably 2 or 3 months. 2 or 3 months, yeah. It could be, if it's Prince and everybody's fighting for something and you didn't have a will, well then it might take years. But in your case, 2 or 3 months is probably more than what it would take, just simply because is yours as complicated as Prince's or pretty. Did I tell him how long the probate process is going to take, or let him tell me? He had to tell me. Because if I tell him, he's going to what? Argue. He has to tell me. I do not tell him. Now, I got some of you people have said him. I told him. Did I tell him, guys? Do I need to reverse it here? Did I tell him or did he tell me? Yeah, no, he told me. I'll back it up just for those people that thought I told him. And the reason being, what if he says it takes 2 weeks? Do I argue with him? I say, yeah, 2 weeks. What if he says if it takes a year? Do I argue? No. So whatever he says is what? The right answer, because it doesn't matter how long it takes. Our point is not whether probate takes a long time or not a long time. Our point is it could have been done much simpler, and their guy didn't tell them. So now listen again. I don't tell him. He tells me.
Give it to if something happened to both of you.
Well, it's in our will.
It's in your will, right?
Yeah.
Duh. And so the will goes through that probate process. Have you heard of probate?
Yep, you've heard of it.
Yeah. So how long does probate take here in Minnesota?
I'm not sure. I'm guessing probably 2 or 3 months.
2 or 3 months, yeah. It could be, if it's Prince and
Right.
everybody's fighting for something and you didn't have a will, well, then it might take years. But in
Right.
your case, 2 or 3 months is probably more than what it would take, just simply because is yours as complicated as Prince's or pretty simple?
No, it's much more simple, I'm sure.
Yeah. So 2 or 3 months, so it takes a little bit of what?
A little bit of time.
A little bit of time. Now, your kids are busy. They got kids.
So just again, I just want to make sure. Do I care what he says? Howard, no problem yet. I thought you probably had just got it. I thought you meant that, but a couple other people said that as well, so no problem. So guys, do I care what he says when I ask how long does probate take? Yes or no? If he says 2 weeks, am I okay with that? If he says 3 months or a year, am I okay with that? Yeah, I'm okay with that.
They got jobs. Have they ever dealt with anything like this before?
No.
So what professional might they hire?
I'm sure they'll hire an attorney.
An attorney, and they work for free.
No, they get paid.
They get paid. So it's going to cost a little bit of
Time,
and a little bit of
money.
But essentially, is that a big?
Who said it's going to cost time and money to go through probate, me or them? And they say a huge amount, or they say a little bit of time, a little bit of money. Who said that? They said that, exactly.
Big problem.
No, I don't think so.
Do they have the money right now?
No.
Do your kids have the money right now? So if it has to wait 2 or 3 months to get the money, is that going to be a problem?
No.
No. And as far as attorney fees, what can they take that out of?
Just whatever they inherit.
Yeah. So is that really a problem?
No.
So did you catch what I said there? So now obviously them having to wait for the money, is that a problem? No, they don't have the money now. Who cares if they have to wait? Because do the parents really care if they have to wait? Do the parents really care if their kids have to wait for the money at their death? Yes or no? No. They're lucky to get it. Don't bitch about whether it's 3 months, 2 years, or 2 months, or a year. So, and then I say, hey, and are they going to pay for the attorney, or is it going to come right out of your money? So should they be worried about that? So you see, I'm telling them it's not about the what. It's not about the money. It's not about the problem. Because remember, with the 21-point checklist, is the fact that the titling is wrong the problem? What is the problem? Is the fact in this particular issue with the 21-point checklist, is the fact that the titling is wrong the problem? That's right, Bert. Their guy. It's their guy. It's their guy. It's their guy. That's the problem. Me waiting at a stoplight to go to the movie for a minute is not the problem. Somebody butting in front of me in line at the movie that's going to cost me a minute, that is a problem because that guy disrespected me. So remember, it's not the problem that's the problem. It's the guy that's the problem. So let's watch how we assign this problem, or how we have the client assign this problem to their advisor.
No, but if we had our choice, and we could just give it to the kids, go right straight to them without time, without hassle, they would just get it, versus going through probate with a little bit of time and hassle and everything else. Would we rather them just get it, or do we want them to go through probate and all the hassle and time?
Well,
if you had your choice.
Yeah, we'd rather they just got it.
Yeah, and I've asked probably 100 people a year that question. Guess what everybody says?
They'd rather they just got it.
They'd rather they just got it. So here's the thing. If you went and told your broker and your banker that you want the kids just to get it at your desk, guess what they do? They'd reach to the lower left-hand drawer, the same place they got your new account form on when you open the account.
Okay.
Right next to it is a form that says that it will go directly to your kids. They say, put your kids' names here.
Guys, how many brokers and bankers know? How many bankers know about POD? Most of them, or few of them? Most of them, or few? Yeah, they all do. That's right. How many brokers and advisors know about TOD? Most of them, or few of them? So when I say that most of them do know about it, they all know. If I said, what's TOD, most advisors would know what that is. So the question, and do they all, and when I say pick out the form, the form isn't actually a form. It's when the new account form. If on the new account form they chose TOD or POD, presto changeo, it's going to avoid probate. So they know about it. So my point here is they're going to reach in the lower left-hand drawer. Could any of them have chosen to make it a TOD or POD if they wanted to, the broker or the banker? And how many people would know that if I asked on the street, hey, if you had your druthers, you want your assets to go through probate or not probate? How many people on the street would say, I'd rather avoid probate? How many people would say that? What percentage? All of them, right. So should the banker or broker assume that they don't want to go through probate? Yes, they should. Do they have the means to do that? Would it have taken them any more time to do that? Would it have taken them any more time to put TOD or POD on that new account form versus just joint with rights of survivorship? No. So what I'm doing here is they're going to understand that this guy then obviously did this on purpose. So what would that purpose be?
Sign it. Presto changeo now goes directly to the kids.
Okay.
So how much time did that take?
None, really.
How much hassle was it?
None.
How much cost?
I don't think it cost anything.
No. So, when I grew up, my mom always said, do things right the second time. Forget about the first time.
No, they want you to do things right the first.
Okay, so now what I'm doing here is they're thinking, oh, this is a problem. I'll go back to my banker. I'll go back to my broker and get it changed. Is that what we want them to do? No. So I'm going to make them understand that going back to the banker broker, no. You're going back to the guy who caused the problem. I can't tell them that. They have to tell me that. Okay? They have to tell me that. So I'm going to go back just 2 seconds here.
My mom always said, do things right the second time. Forget about the first time.
No, they want you to do things right the first time.
And why?
It's just easier. It's less hassle. It's less time.
It is.
Less trouble.
Yeah, it ends up being all of those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So why do you think it wasn't done right the first time if it's that easy?
I guess I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. I mean,
they all say, guys, everybody will say they're not sure. And what do we say? Are we a mind reader? No. So we're going to agree. Yeah, I'm not sure either. I mean, I wasn't there. I'm not going through the mind. I'm not a mind reader. So that's okay that they say they're not sure. Now, but we have to start to walk them through the logic of it now.
Are we mind readers?
No.
Do we know what was going on in their life that day?
No.
So
no.
I'm not sure either. And we'll get it fixed for you. It does take about a month to get it fixed because obviously we're going to have to change some things and get paperwork back and forth. But we'll get that fixed for you. But now, financial institutions, do they like to have a lot of money in their accounts, or do they like to have a little amount of money in their accounts?
No, more is better. A lot.
More is better, right? Do they like to have it a longer period of time or a shorter period of time?
Longer.
So they like lots of money for longer, or not very much money for shorter?
No, lots of money for longer.
Yeah. So when your accounts, if they go through probate, what happens to those accounts? Do you think that the banks, if they know that you have passed away, are they going to allow you to people to get in there and fiddle around with them, or the probate court's going to say to do what with those accounts?
Just freeze them for the time being.
Just freeze them for the time being, right? So why would your broker, why would your bank allow you to park the money there during probate?
Well, so they can hold it longer.
And why would they like to hold it longer?
Oh, so they can continue to make money.
Yeah. So they're making money now on you, because you're alive, and things are free or not free.
No, they're not free.
But they're also concerned about making money not only while you're alive, but while you're in the probate process.
Well, we're dead.
Yeah.
So what am I doing here? I'm saying, hey, we're all in it for money. Obviously, I get paid, the bank gets paid, your broker gets paid, the mutual funds get paid. Everybody's getting paid, and that's okay when they're actually doing something. But if they're purposely doing something to get paid, not only when I'm alive, but when I'm dead, that becomes what? Okay or disgusting? They do something on purpose. They could have done something very easily to make this not happen, but instead they purposely forgot to do it so they could make money while I'm alive and while I'm dead. That's a good thing or a bad thing? And I'm not saying good thing or bad thing for the client. I'm saying when it comes to that guy's reputation, that guy's character, is that a good thing or a bad thing? If he withheld information, he could have done things the right way, but instead he didn't do it so he could make money while I'm alive, and not only that, make money on me while I'm dead. Is that a good thing or a bad thing when it applies to his character?
And then do you think they're going to call the kids and say, hey, you know what, sit tight. It'll take about 3 months, and we're just going to shoot that check out to you? Or do you think during that 2 or 3 months they're going to be calling them up and romancing them?
Well, I'm sure they're going to romance them.
And why would they want to romance them?
Oh, they want the kids to stay there.
And why do they want the kids to stay there? Because you're right.
They can keep the money longer.
And they're interested in keeping.
Now, we'll keep watching here, guys. Am I going to say a bad word about their advisor or their bank or their broker? Am I going to say a bad word about them? No. Who's going to say their broker and their banker is a crook? They are.
Keep the money longer so they can
make more.
Yeah. So we're not certain why the wrong form was filled out. If it's right next to the new account form, if it's simple and easy. We said it was simple and easy or hard.
No, it's simple and easy.
So we're not certain why they didn't fill out the right form, but we did find 2 reasons why they might have filled out the wrong form. And what are those 2 reasons?
Well, they wanted to make more money.
Yeah, while you're alive and
dead.
And also on who else?
The kids.
Yeah. So we'll get it taken care of for you, but do you see how that could have been?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get that taken care of for you, and then that way joint survivorship is perfect, but we'll also help you have it bypass probate for the kids.
Okay.
Again, no cost or anything, no hassle. It's just very, very easy to do. It's just simple. It's too bad it wasn't done right the first time. It says it has to be done right the what?
Well, the second time around.
The second time around, yep. So the next thing we want to talk about is.
So who said that they purposely filled out the paperwork wrong? Me or the client? Me, them, right, Steve? And why did they do it? What was the motive for them doing it? So they could make money on me while I'm dead and then do the same thing to the kids. That's right. That's a better word, Bert. Greed. They did it for greed. So did they help me? Okay, so push comes to shove. By them doing joint with rights or survivorship instead of TOD or POD, but did they help me or hurt me, or there was no pain or benefit? So is it neutral, bad, or good? Neutral, bad, or good by them filling it out wrong? Everybody answer that. I got one bad. Everybody answer that. Neutral, bad, or good by them filling it out wrong? Okay, I got 3 bads. Come on, everybody answer that. Okay, so everybody's saying bad. And and it was bad for me, and then how was it for the broker and the bank and the banker? Good, because they have time to romance that client's kids to try to keep the money. So this is the first time we're mentioning that advisor and their company and saying that they did something bad to you for their own benefit. So it hurt you and it benefited them. It hurt you and it benefited them. And who told them that? Me, or did they tell themselves? Yeah, they told themselves. So guys, did I tell them anything here, or did I just walk them through, or have them walk through the logic themselves? Did I tell them these things, or did they walk through it themselves? And this is the first place. At this point, what do you think the wife's thinking? What did the wife suspect about their advisor the whole time? And we know this because how many wives leave the broker at their husband's death? What percentage? What percentage of wives leave their broker at the husband's death? Most of them do. So most wives already suspect the guy. So when we do this, we spent the whole 40 minutes doing the non-financial where the wife discovers, hey, he talks my language. He talks to things about I care about, my family, security. He's talking about things I understand. I like this guy. And then we get into the titling, and they find out that son of a gun filled out the forms wrong to hurt my babies. What's happening to the wife at this point? What's happening to the wife at this point? She's fuming, right? Now remember, next week we're going to do beneficiaries. Now she finds out not only did this person hurt their babies, they hurt their grandbabies. Now how mad? By the time we get done with beneficiaries, how mad is the wife? And this is before we actually get into the investments. So do you see how we get the wife on our side during the first 50 or so minutes, first 50 minutes to an hour? And once we have on our side, that once we get to the investments, the husband has to make the decision to say that I'm siding with the guy who's been screwing us forever, family, security, money. He's been screwing me forever. And yes, the investments are even worse, but I'm going to side with him. How's that going to go with his wife? Once we get to the investments, they find out, because at this point, could he say, yeah, but the investments are good? I know they can, because before I completed this 21-point checklist and all the scripts, guess what guys would say? No, I understand this, and I'll get all this stuff fixed, but he's done pretty good by me. Am I right or am I wrong, guys? What will the guy say? Yeah, I know these things are bad, but because he wants to save face. So he's going to save face by saying, I know, but we went to the guy for investments, and he's doing great on the investments. Yes or no? Will that be what they say? Not all of them, but will most of them say that? Because they have to save face. For a whole hour here, he's finding out that advisor withheld information, didn't do things, was a horrible advisor, and his knee-jerk reaction is to say, well, I chose the advisor. I'm the one that meets with him all the time. Well, at least he's a good investment. At least he's good at the investments. See, and that's why I need the wife on the side, because now I'm going to show, well, the investments he picked are what? I'm not going to say it. He's going to say it. The investments he picked are charging too much, have a bad risk-reward. The correlation is terrible. The 10-year is terrible. We're going to go through a whole laundry list of things that are terrible. Will he have any leg to stand on to go back and say, well, no, at least the investments are good? Will he have any leg to stand on? None. So does that make sense? Do you see how we're building a foundation here, right? We're building a foundation with the non-financials that we care. We're a good advisor. Your advisor is the person you thought was your advisor they're working with now is not an advisor. He's simply an investment salesperson. And then we start out with the titling. And will anybody leave their advisor over the titling? If that's where we stopped, how many clients are going to leave their advisor? Most or not very many? Yeah, none. Not very many. So, but do you see, and that's where we want to start. Do we want to go for the throat, or do we go with our foot in the door? We're going with our foot in the door and saying, well, but okay, so titling is what? So, well, that's bad, but it only gets worse with beneficiaries. So, well, that's bad. I know, but it only gets worse. Well, that's bad. Oh, well, it only gets worse. Oh, that's bad. It only gets the climax to the meeting is by the time we get to the risk reward and they find out that son of a gun is charging me more when I could have got something that was free and performed better. He's not only is he charging me, he's charging me for something that's inferior where I could have got something for free that performed better. By that point, that's at that point, guess what? If you've had, not you telling them, but they're telling you, by that point, guess what? How many advisors are going to survive that? How many advisors are going to survive that? Zippo. Does that make sense? Awesome. So that is titling. Next week we'll do the beneficiary. So thanks for being on today. If you're taking the rest of the day off, have a good rest of the day off. For those of you who are still working, kudos to you. And we'll talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.